Welcome to the threesome, y'all. This is the podcast where we apparently have special breaking episode to address current events. Who knew? Anyway, if you are back for more of our mess, we thank you for putting up with us. Once again, if this is your first time with us, blah blah blah, glad you found us. Apologize. Thank you. Okay, so Star, our point person, optimistic realist, magic, man in the middle, voice of reason, bringing up the rear as always. I'm identifying as a pragmatic contrarian. My name is Storm. Let's go.
So, big getting jiggy Willy from Philly out here trying to smack people silly. Star, what's up with your mans?
Listen, I was gonna let y'all two go because I was just gonna let y'all get that energy out. So let y'all go first. Y'all go
You
first.
want it, Storm? You want it, or you want me to do it?
You
cocking a gun?
very rarely get to get your opinion out first, so I'm gonna go and let you get it out.
Let's start at the beginning. First and foremost, the joke was not funny, but it wasn't disrespectful to the point that I'm gonna walk up on you and I gotta come see you, son. Y'all internet
Okay.
black folks, it's alopecia. It's not cancer. It's not that serious. I know it was only acting. Will trained as a boxer for at least a year. You can't drop Chris Rock with one hit. Like you and kudos to Chris Rock for keeping it professional. This was the first one produced by a black man, co-produced by a black woman, and two of the three hosts were black. Like, you fucking up people's money, Will, to include your own. And while we on internet idiots, everybody talk about Kanye losing his shit over a woman. Will been in an abusive relationship a good 20, 30 years. Somebody help that man out. I'm done.
Okay. Well, I too did not find the joke very funny to begin with. I also didn't think it was worth fighting anyone about. However, okay, I am a woman. Surprise, surprise. And a black woman at that. Even bigger surprise to some of y'all. So I understand the emotions we have about our hair. Okay.
Wig.
I also am given to understand that Jada had been public about how she feels about it and how insecure she is about it. Now, that said, I don't know that Chris Rock had any idea that that's what was going on because I didn't. But I don't be paying attention to these people, so I didn't. I was just like, okay, the joke's not funny. Jada clearly felt some kind of way about it because she is not one of those people that can fix her face, apparently. So clearly she felt some kind of way about it. And I think when Will saw that, he felt like he had to come to her defense. Now,
Ain't gonna be no punk.
Now, there's a way to come to her defense in an event just such as this, and a way not to do it. That was the way not to do it. Sorry. Okay, I know people love drama, but you don't get out your chair and go on stage and smack the host. You don't. I mean, I don't know what that was about.
Pent up aggression. Will been wanting to smack somebody for a good 2 years.
Well, maybe, but I think because at first he laughed, and then when he looked at her and saw, she was not appreciating it, that's when he decided, he was going to go do all that. I thought it was way too much. If you wanted to slap Chris Rock, go Wayne Brady on him after the show.
Backstage, you're Will Smith. You can go around and meet him.
Well, and that's the thing. Like when I first saw it, I thought that they were playing.
Till he sat back
because
down.
until he sat back down and started yelling from the audience. And then I was Lupita. You know, if y'all saw Lupita's face in the background, I was her. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we for real, for real. I thought he was way out of order. I mean, Chris Rock is not a mean spirited comic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
No.
I feel like had he known, he wouldn't have gone there. But I also felt like he could have confronted him in another time and space and not like that. I thought that was very, as my mom would call it, uncivilized.
As my mom would call it, niggerish.
I mean, when you're at a black tie event, this is just not what you do. I'm sorry.
It's not proper decorum
It
whatsoever.
is not. Two things can be true. I think he was justified in coming to her defense on some level, but I also think that he did it the exact wrong way. And to your point, Magic, shout out to Chris Rock for maintaining his decorum and not going back at him because that could have devolved quickly.
He
So,
was focused. One more thing I got to throw in. I don't know if either one of y'all have done it, but I've sat up front at a comedy show. If a comedian starts going in
yes,
on jokes on you, you just give them the nice and symbol, and they'll usually quit and go to somebody else. It ain't that hard.
exactly. Because the more you act, butt hurt, the more they going to zero in on you.
Okay, so let's just put this out there for me because I don't have many celebrities that I'm a fan of, but Will Smith is one of those that I've been a fan of his probably since I was about 15 years old. Okay, I'm 50. It's been a long time. Okay,
You calling it a fan? That's what the kids calling it these days. Okay.
and whatever. I mean, it's not like, oh, I love you, Will Smith, and all this. I don't know that man. You understand what I'm saying? But I've been an admirer, I guess you would call it, from afar. I've enjoyed a lot of his work. I enjoyed a lot of his music. Especially, it cracks me up how they be like, "Oh, well, he was a rapper that didn't curse and all that other stuff." So we just gonna forget about you saw that Blinker bitch. That's my song. I love it. But for the most part, he didn't curse in his work, and all of that other stuff. So anyway, as a fan, I feel like he was dead ass wrong. And so there's a couple of things going on here. One of my exes called me last night as soon as the information broke. And he was like, "Ooh, you called that shit." He was like, "You called that shit when they first got married, and you called it like a little over a year ago because he was looking real stressed and real pressured." That slap was about something else. That slap was not necessarily for Chris. Okay. Now, unlike the two of you, I thought the joke's pretty damn funny. Anyway, he came back later on, and I said this all last night. I'm like, what if he didn't know about her condition? What if he didn't know? You understand? The shit was
Perfectly
taken.
plausible.
Yeah. And he said it. He was like, he didn't know. Number two, was that his joke or was that the Academy's joke?
Yeah, it's
Good
probably
question.
his.
And nobody said anything, but that's like a big question that's going around. Like, where did that joke come from? Because they do know that the Academy does script some of it. You understand? So
Chris Rock
again,
has said multiple times in his career the best ad lib is the one you wrote the day before.
okay, and it could have been an ad lib. Okay, however, if he was unaware of her condition, it was just a motherfucking joke. He could have
Agreed.
checked him from his seat in the way that he did once he returned to his seat, and Chris would have probably went on ahead and went on. He would have probably been like,
Right.
"Okay, something else is going on here. Let me switch," and just moved on.
The thing about it was he was about to move on,
He was
and then
about to
now
move
you're on the
on,
stage.
and now you're on the
So
stage. So here's a
exactly.
couple of things that's going on here. She's toxic. All the jokes, all the memes, all the everything that has been out. Okay, it may have started with August Alstina or whatever his name is, and he alluded to the relationship in a song, and then he made some comments or whatever on an interview, and then she decides that she wants to go address it. You wouldn't even be having all of this right now if they had done what the average celebrity does with stuff like that. Rather it's the truth or it's a lie and just denied it. The
Shut the
shit would have
fuck
blew
up.
over and it would have never gotten to be where it is. You basically have emasculated that man over the past year. Okay, with
Or
your
longer.
commentary about Tupac and how you still in love with him, and had he still been alive and all of this other shit. You got to know that's a sore spot with Will. Why would you do that? And everybody want to be like, well, he was protecting his woman. But I believe when you are in a relationship with someone, especially when you're in a marriage, it's your job to protect one another and honor one another. Her ass is dead ass wrong and set the stage exactly for what happened last night. Now, don't get me wrong, he's a grown ass man and accountable for his own actions. I'm not taking any of that away from him. But when Chris Rock told the joke, he found that shit funny. He turned around and saw the look on Jada's face, and then that's when he got pissed and said, I ain't gonna be no punk, and went up there and slapped that man. The Academy was wrong as fuck because you let that had been a kid, like let's just say Kim and Kanye. For Kanye's not very popular right now. A lot of people don't like him. If he had been the one that got up there and went up there and slapped Chris Rock, the security would have been all on him. They would have escorted his ass right the fuck up out of there.
To be fair, I don't know that they didn't think it was, play acting. Like the rest of us did at first. You know what I mean?
So if the security did not act because they thought it was play acting, because that was one of them old bitch ass actor slaps he gave him.
Exactly.
Okay.
I thought that whole thing was acted until he went and sat down.
So if that's what they thought at first, they clearly knew by the time Will returned back to his seat and told Chris, keep his wife's name out his fucking mouth, that there was a problem. Why, when the commercial break would happen, that they didn't escort his ass right the fuck up out of there? Somebody should have said, all right, he got to go. You understand?
I do agree with that.
They ejected and banned Kanye from the Grammys for words. This man assaulted a man on stage. And I'm going to say this. He picked the right one, baby. Because had that been, let's just say a Bernie Mac or a Steve Harvey or somebody that had cracked that joke, Will would have sat his ass right there in the seat and wouldn't have moved. He might have said something, but he wouldn't have got up there and slapped him.
Kudos to Chris Rock, because I know a lot of comedians that this would have gone down
a whole nother motherfucking way.
Yeah,
a whole nother way.
Chris Rock was very professional and was
very professional.
Okay, well, let's move on.
Listen, more professional than I would have initially given him credit for before this. Not to say that I think he would have got down and scrapped, because I don't think he's pretty much a fighter either, but he could have just went ham. And you could tell he caught himself, because he had said something about I could or I start or whatever. And then he was like, And then he shook it off and tried to finish his dialogue. Listen,
absolutely.
At the end of the day, there are so many wrong parties in this whole little situation. And then the media gets on my nerves where they come talking about, oh, Bradley Cooper, Denzel Washington, and the rest of them are rallying around him to comfort him. I don't necessarily see that they were comforting him. I think they were calming his ass the fuck down. You understand what I'm saying? Like, hey, dude,
right.
Chill out.
Particularly Denzel. I think Denzel was probably telling him, hey, man, nah. Like, you cannot do this.
You cannot do this.
That's one of the things that irritated me about it. I'm old, and I grew up in an era where the old black folks always used to tell you there are things that you can't do in public. Because they will take that to mean that that's how we all act.
That's how, exactly. For those that care about being invited to their barbecues, okay, this is the reason why they don't want us there. This is part of the reason.
I don't want to go to
that's why I said for those of us that care.
Yeah, I don't think I'm on the list either. Did anybody console Chris Rock?
That's what Eric Benet said. Eric Benet was like, while y'all sitting up consoling, he was like, why y'all sitting up?
Matter of fact, did Jada console Will?
Right. Where was she at? And listen, that goes back.
With a light skin nigga.
let me finish what Eric Benet. Eric Benet had made this tweet. That shit was hilarious to me. Come talk about while y'all sitting up consoling Will. Has anybody checked though? Has anybody checked on Chris or seat warmer or somebody? I thought that shit was funny as hell. But
that is funny. But no, but what I was saying is it goes beyond like who gives a damn about their barbecue. This is why they don't let us in their boardroom.
But that's the barbecue is the analogy for
I get it.
all of they shit.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. But yeah, because they assume that we ain't got no decorum about us.
Exactly.
And every time you do dumb shit like this, that's unnecessary, uncalled for, and very public, it just gives them the opportunity to go, yeah, see,
yep, that's how they act. We don't know how to act. And let's also say this.
Even as successful and rich and accomplished as Will is, look, he still don't know how to act. So why should I hire that one over there?
And let's say this. Let's also put this out there. It is a tradition at these award shows for the host, whether it be a comedian or not, to push on those hot button issues. And the celebrities, they don't be caring for it a lot of the times, but they shrug it off, take it off in stride. Now, they may say something about it in an interview later on, or they may even address the person. You understand? Because you'll hear about, oh, well, now they beefing or whatever because of somebody said or whatever. But it's never been handled in that way. I don't remember what it was that Billy Crystal said about Jack Nicholson. But I remember a long, long time ago when Billy Crystal was hosting the Oscars, and he had said something about Jack Nicholson, and Jack Nicholson didn't appreciate it, not one stinking bit. And he said something to him, like he shouted it at him from the audience. And you know what? Billy Crystal was like, oh, okay, I went a little too far. And he basically changed the subject.
Yeah. Well,
simple.
But like I said, Chris was about to change the subject anyway.
Yep. He wasn't going to go in.
You prolonged the pain by being so fucking demonstrative.
Yep.
When you could have just confronted, you could have said after the show, look, man, I appreciate that shit.
Yep.
You hurt her feelings, blah, blah, blah. And again, Chris Rock is not a mean-spirited comedian. He's not one of those that come out there and just be picking on people.
No.
So I highly doubt he knew anything about her alopecia.
He said he didn't know. And it's a few times a lot of
listen. He doesn't catch social cues, but
listen, he probably thought that she just shaved her head.
And that's a whole nother conversation that I was having because Jada...
Because that family is known
for changing their look up and changing it often. Yes.
And for being very, what's the word?
Attention getting.
Yeah, well...
Attention seeking. That.
Very outside the norm with whatever they do.
Yep.
So he probably thought she just shaved her head.
To just be shaving.
She wanted to shave her head.
Yep.
I mean, her daughter did the same thing.
Yep.
Because that's what I thought until I read that she had. Because again, I don't be following them, so I don't know.
Yep.
And I'm sure Chris didn't know either. That's all.
Yep.
But
oh boy, was out of order. But
he was out of order. Yep. And I mean,
it's a bad
look. It is a bad look. And on one hand, the jokes are funny. Okay. On one hand, the jokes that have come from this are hilarious. Because I like a good joke.
My God. They are comedy gold.
They are. On the other hand, I cringe.
I do too.
I do too. I'm like, oh my gosh, why? Why you had to do it?
Because it's just making the situation even worse. It's making the situation worse for Will. I mean, if Chris Rock has the right kind of people behind him, he can really come out on top in this whole little situation.
I mean, the LAPD done already asked him, did he want to,
And you know what?
press charges.
And he And he said
And
no.
he declined. Yeah,
Yep.
he declined. Because, that ain't who he is.
Yeah.
But, somebody else might
Which
have
is
it.
also privilege, because had that been one of us, Will wouldn't have had to uh file for no fucking charges. It would have been the DA was filing charges on behalf.
Well, exactly. Exactly. And
Yep.
and might I add that there were a whole bunch of white people on social media today saying that that's exactly what the DA ought to do.
Yep. That's that privilege for you.
And that is another reason why it's just a bad look all around.
Yep.
I didn't mean to be so get off my lawn about it, but you know,
No.
maybe if I was still in my 20s, I might, be like, haha, whatever. And that, by the way, when I was in my 20s, that was when I used to actually still watch um,
The
award
award
shows.
show.
Watch
Now
them
I could care
anymore.
less.
I could care fucking less.
That's
Okay.
a whole nother thing. And what really made me wonder, did the Academy write that joke? Was this. Okay. There were a lot of unusual things that kind of took place last night on the behalf of the Academy. One I already mentioned about, how they didn't like basically have him put up out of there. And how he could still continue to sit in his seat. But another thing that was also curious to me was how, that speech that Will gave and how much time they allow him to have. Now they've let bigger stars than Will be up there and they gave a speech too long and they cut that music on. But see, what ended up happening was that they noticed the spike in the ratings, okay, from
For sure.
the before the slap and then
For
after the
sure.
slap,
For
right?
sure.
So
For
then
sure.
they like, okay, you know what? We're gonna let this man talk and see what else happened. Because we ain't seen
Yeah.
ratings like this in a minute.
And
Right?
also, he knows that he was out of line because if he wasn't, he wouldn't have been up there trying to apologize to the Academy.
He knew by the time he got up there and accepted that award, after talking to all of them people and having them little sideline conversations and stuff like that, and even in his own mind, he realized, damn, I just fucked up.
Yeah, I just made a fucking donkey out of myself on
Yep.
national television.
Yep.
But
Let's add, for a woman who doesn't choose to protect you
now
or
listen,
your
I
marriage.
wasn't gonna go there. I know we've had this discussion in private before. And you know that Jada also rubs me the wrong way. But I wasn't gonna go there because A, I'm not in their relationship. I don't pretend to know that dynamic. I also don't care. But also, I do feel a little bad for her, when you have an autoimmune disorder, I do know that it can affect you, emotionally or whatever. I get all that. So, I didn't want to go there with her. But yeah, Jada rubs a lot of people the wrong way. Agreed.
That's just our 2 cents, people. If you have an opinion, let us know
Our
about it.
6 cents.
Yeah, our 6 cents. Yeah, collectively.
Yeah, collectively, or 4 or 5 because he only gave half his.
Right. He disappeared. If you all have an opinion, have some commentary, let us know
Think
about
we're
it.
wrong.
Yeah, think we're wrong? Let us know.
We need to lighten the fuck up.
Yeah. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on Facebook. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, leave us a voicemail on Anchor.
Yep.
What the fuck ever. Y'all know what to do.
Yep.
Do it.
Good night, folks.
Good night.